So if you would like another Lewis structure practice sheet, this is here. Let's just do this. If you want one, take it. If not, send it on. Now, I still need to work the answer sheet and send to you guys in remind for the first one. I will do that today, send it out, and I want to try and include this in there with it. It probably will not happen, but if you can do the ones from the first one and get them right, you'll be fine. Alright? I thought really long and hard about this, that I could go with that whole, once you learn it, don't forget it. You've learned the polyatomics now, so I can use their names, and I could ask you, give me the properly drawn Lewis structure, and give you the name of the polyatomic.
That's wonderful.
Or as you saw from the test, we didn't learn them. So you don't put them in there.
Yeah.
So, my goal is for you not to fail your last quiz of the first semester.
I appreciate that.
So I am not going to do that to you. I'm going to have a heart.
Thank you.
But when nomenclature comes, just so you know, we're full force.
I thought we were already on nomenclature.
We're not on nomenclature. It's
Then
bond.
what's this?
Bond.
Oh, you did?
What?
We're still in bond.
I'm sorry.
Are we behind right now?
No, we're on good pace.
Can I ask you a
Here,
question?
pass it.
Yeah.
Both of them. What's up with
I have a student that is in need of a sodium hydroxide solution for their science fair. And in order to make it properly, I need distilled water. Well, I don't have enough distilled water. So if you look in the tube and you see,
Can't you just
It
go
pushed
buy
through.
distilled water?
I could, but why do that when I'm right here and it's being made and I'm going to teach? If y'all hear some loud pop and something slings and hits the ceiling, don't worry, it's just the rubber stopper and top of the flask. Nothing to worry about.
It shouldn't do that since the pressure's being released from.
It shouldn't, but earlier we had a whole lot of pressure rolling and I was like, oh, that's a lot of pressure.
We're talking about the person that's deciding to do acids because someone decided to tell us so late.
Huh?
Get him.
What about the
Get
science
him.
fair?
We're
You know what?
like he didn't say that. When are we gonna start doing labs and work with like
You've always done labs working with chemicals.
Is this just a new heading now?
The first one is actually your next lab. You guys have graduated up to the point your techniques are to where we could start dealing with some more
danger?
reactive and dangerous ones.
What's
What,
that?
like actual chemicals?
Microwave. Boom.
I'm like dangerous.
Speaking of your next lab, this right here, what you're going to learn today, we're going to talk about characteristics of bonds. And within this is what your next lab is on. I will give you unknown substances. I'll probably give you 5, and I will look at you and say, determine what types of bonds are in these substances. I clearly will not give you the names because from the names you can work backwards and find out what they are. I will openly look at you and tell you right now though, one of them is an acid. Maybe 2 of them will be an acid. So it is extremely important that you are very careful with what you are doing in the lab and make sure that your techniques are perfect. So today we're going to talk about 6 of these.
Mr. High. Mr. High, we did it first. What if we go
Okay. We need to.
It's practice.
Alright, so on this, we're going to talk about 6 different characteristics. So we're going to label the characteristics. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully I left enough room. If not, we'll fix it. Alright, so the first one we're going to talk about is the boiling and melting points. That is the first one we'll discuss. The second one is solubility. And I'm going to talk just in H2O, so in water. Solubility is all looking and saying what make an aqueous solution. All these are fancy words for saying, hey, will that stuff dissolve? That's literally it. Okay, 3. Will it carry an electrical charge? So carry electrical charge. Question mark, question mark. Whenever you're checking on number 3, you're always going to look, you're first going to do step 2. You're going to try and dissolve it in water to see if things will carry through. There is this idea out there that you've been lied to about. People have looked at you all your life and said, water will conduct electricity. This is false. Water does not conduct electricity. Perfect example of this, distilled water will never conduct electricity. It cannot carry a current. The ions that can be dissolved within water can carry a current. So, you, for example, if you sit down within water, there's ions in you, so then the charge can be carried, and it'll be carried through you because within your system there's ions. So, just straight H2O will not conduct electricity. I have this on video for anyone goes home and looks and says anything. H2O will not conduct electricity.
So, like, if you like put an air dryer in the water, it won't shock you?
What water?
Like a
Like
bathtub.
Bathtub, like tap water?
Yeah.
Absolutely, it'll conduct electricity. That's tap water, it's not H2O. Distilled water. And if you go into distilled water, it'll shock you because you have ions. There's ions that are on you that'll break off into the tub that'll give it the ions to carry.
So how is the
I was thinking more like a toaster in the background.
Yeah.
Tap water has all sorts of ions within it. We put the chemicals in it to treat it so that we're not drinking poopy water.
So you're telling me,
Good point.
you're telling me that if I put bottles of water in my bathtub and then I put a hairdryer in it, it wouldn't shock me?
You will get shocked. There's ions in you. I can't make it seem clear.
What if we're
Do not go home and look and pour in distilled water. Throw in a toaster and jump in because you're going to get shocked. You have ions. H2O, the water, will not.
Let's text them out.
I don't think I want to get shocked anyways.
Oh, you drank.
God help
I
me.
do it now.
Number 4 is one of my favorite ones. This is actually a characteristic you are forbidden and not allowed to test in this room.
I'm still waiting on somebody to get a microphone.
Flammability.
Flammability.
I say we test it.
Flamingo.
Do you guys know my Boom Boom juice that I put in the whoosh bottle? The Boom Boom juice. The Boom Boom juice. I put it in the whoosh bottle.
Yeah.
Where do you go from that to say you want cucumbers?
Maybe she burns her cucumbers.
It's true. All right. In this, that is a great example of me being able to tell you what type of bond's in it because of it being flammable. This fifth one, I really don't like a lot. I don't like the way they word it, but it's a really good indicator. Mechanical. Mechanical. I'm going to put in parentheses to this how it feels, because that's really what we're talking. What?
I don't know.
We'll take a shot in the dark. What would like silicone be like with that?
Yeah, no, let's see how it feels.
All right, then the sixth and final one
Well, just gonna go ahead and see
is
how
my
it feels.
personal favorite.
She's a new lady. I don't even believe
Yeah, I was just asking.
Odor and smell.
Yep.
Just so you guys know, all the conversations that you have will be picked up by the camera.
Well, she's talking about me and Chrissy's talking about the dude that raps about cucumbers. So.
Okay, this is when we start talking about what was happening earlier, right?
All right, so in this, we're really going to focus in on two types of bonds with this, okay? So the first one we're going to talk about are ionic, and the second one is covalent. All right, so in this, we're going to talk about each one as we're going through. So let's talk about the boiling and melting points. All right, and for anyone that's wondering, we're not going to talk about metallic bonds because they have a whole special setup and stuff. We will talk about them later on. Yes. Yes. So in this,
Have you ever had somebody have an A in your class?
people's got A's in this class.
Like somehow like graduate with extremely high all year.
I'm trying to learn my
Let's continue, sorry.
So we're talking about everything above the staircase. Is that what you're saying?
Bless you. No. That periodic table, those are elements, okay? This is characteristics. Okay, ionic bonds. Those are the ones that come from the bond, one from the left and one from the right of the staircase. So that metal and non-metals. I think I'm picking up on what you were saying.
Yeah.
And then these covalents are non-metals and non-metals. We're going to talk about them together. Ouch. Alright, so first thing we're going to talk about is the boiling and melting point of, just so I can bring your attention into focus, this will be on your quiz tomorrow.
Huh?
There's a good wake-up call.
Write it all in purple.
Boiling and melting points, okay? When we're talking in terms of ionic bonds, they are high. I'm talking stupid high, like really stupid high. You can write that, but I'm just going to say high. That's great, stupid high. Now when I'm talking with this, that they're having a high melting and boiling point, I'm saying that I could take like salt, so sodium chloride, table salt, I could stick it in a properly lit Bunsen burner, it's not going to melt, and it's not going to boil.
What's not going to melt?
Salt.
Burner, salt.
They said, what did I say in class? It did not melt. Chrissy said a Bunsen burner.
The salt, table salt, that you season food
Hey,
with,
I didn't hear that for
that's because you're not listening.
You can't hear her chewing.
If I get another 80 answer from you, I'm going to move you forward.
I'm not.
Another 80
Then
questions.
listen. Alright, in terms of covalent bonds, you guys have already seen these. Right here is a perfect example. Water, it's already at a liquid at room temperature. This right here, melting and boiling points for covalent bonds are relatively low.
Stupid low. High and low.
I'll go on and give you what second period came up with to help them memorize this. Because as we went through, as soon as I did this one, and it was red and blue, they were like, you're hot and you're cold.
Okay.
And you can say this, guys.
You're a good singer.
I'm really not, I'm horrible.
Let's give us some.
Shut up.
Think of something else.
Alright, so solubility in water. In terms of this, solubility in water, ions will break up within water. So ionic bonds, yes, they dissolve.
Oh, man.
Just square off.
Why is there two above it?
Just,
we came up with in second period my own form of language.
I'm scared.
There's two S's in dissolve.
Uh-huh.
S squared.
Uh-huh.
That's
I was
not
like, yeah, I was gonna say, you spelled
I was
dissolve
honestly
wrong.
about to spell it.
I cannot remember who it was. So if you're watching this video, whoever it was that looked at me and told me to put the square there, credit to you.
Probably Connor.
No, Connor was the one that looked at me because I did dissolve, and he said, "I'm just gonna leave it alone. I just can't." I said, "No, go ahead, do it, do it." He said that there needs to be another S there, Mr. Hall, like right there with that other S. So I put an S on top of it, and then someone was like, "No, you should put a square there." It might have been Connor.
Was it Cassidy?
I can't remember who it was. It was funny though. There it was. I'm not saying it was Connor. Connor's the one that got us down the route. I know that for sure. I can't remember if Connor said it or not. But somebody
He
did.
sent you down the line.
All right. Solubility in water will covalence dissolve in
Yes.
water.
Yes.
No.
No,
I don't know, I was guessing.
they don't.
No fun. No share. We don't want any. Come on in. The water's
I know this is. Oh, really?
it's catered. It's
Hello.
Oh.
Start. All right. Will they carry an electrical charge? The next thing we're wanting to know. Remember, this is whenever you're dissolving them within water. Refer back to what I said to about water carrying an electrical charge. And everyone was like, so if I threw my hairdryer in the bathtub and stood in it, I wouldn't get shocked? No, you're going to get shocked.
Yeah, then you try to figure out how it feels, so. I mean, you go on down to number 5 and try to see how it feels, so I'm guessing.
Whoa, we ain't at 5 yet. I'm going to start jumping to conclusions, Mikey.
Just
That
saying.
ain't how this rolls.
You told us to see how it feels.
Why?
You have to plug up the hair dryer.
No, this is serious. Okay, if you were getting shocked and somebody needed to unplug you.
When
Oh,
they get shocked.
absolutely.
Yes, they
They're
Absolutely.
touching rubber. There's
What happens
a
if they're not?
coating
I
on
didn't
the
say
wire.
that.
So whenever they go to unplug it,
Daddy.
it's not going to happen.
It has an outlet.
All right.
Just let me-
Carry electrical charge. I love y'all dearly. Like, my chemistry classes are interesting. Second period, I say electrical charge. Water does not conduct electricity. And then I had Maddie Redden goes, but a toaster does. I'm in here. Water don't carry an electrical charge, but a hairdryer does. Sweet God, you gonna make it?
She's back here barking, it's okay.
All right, carry an electrical charge, ionic bond. Yeah. They do that.
No, she's scaring me.
Not scary.
Yeah.
Ionic bonds will carry an electrical charge.
I'm gonna guess no with covalent.
Covalent bonds,
They do.
no,
Help it, Hannah. Just hold your breath.
they don't.
Earlier you said it's like water, so.
Wanting Christy to die.
Yeah. It does
You
carry
have to just treat
electrical.
coughs like keep.
Alright, that's a period.
Why would they call it for a second? Because they don't. What's that?
Oh.
You got
That's
it.
good.
Mr. Hall, I'm gonna make a compilation of you singing.
That's
It's
what
like
it is,
5 minutes
compilation.
of Mr. Hall singing random
That's
songs.
what
No,
Definitely not
no,
posting this video now.
First
y'all do
one,
not want that, I promise.
Ionic? No covalent, yes.
All right, so my favorite one.
No,
for
please.
5 minutes of you talking like me.
Covalent.
Literally.
The boom boom jug. All right, so in this, flammability, ionic bonds, no burn.
Mr. Hall, there's like a big buildup in that water back there. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to get it. I'm running low right now.
We're gonna burn water.
Yes.
Oh, I see what's happening.
We're on fire.
I see exactly what's happening.
yeah, because the pressure's gonna be like,
It's stuck.
Put your hands in the pot.
He's making boom boom juice.
why'd you put it at the same level? It's not gonna work.
Now I gotta pull it off a little bit. So put more water. Alright. So ionic bonds, no burn. They are not flammable. Okay, now before any one of you want to be that smart aleck, Mr. Hall, you get anything hot enough, it burns. No, no, Sherlock. We're talking about like in a chemistry lab, I stick it in a Bunsen burner. Throw a match on it. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So, covalence.
Yes.
Will that be no liquid?
Burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
I just put yes.
What happens if he asks what he put about burn and everybody just says burn?
Well, if you ask us to list this on our test, do we put that?
Hey, that's fine with me. I don't care. You
I'm
got
guessing covalent bonds can't feel too good.
it. Listen, if you need help, just go to one of your favorite singers.
It doesn't.
This bond is on fire.
Yes. Now I'm definitely gonna make a collation.
No.
You like my fire? Do you like my
No.
All right, in this.
It looks like a book.
Flammability for ionic bonds don't exist, but for covalent bonds, they will burn. Gasoline, covalent bond. Alcohol, covalent bond. I mean, that right there, that's the stuff.
What's that?
Peroxide, I won't say it's not really going to burn unless you get like really hot, but it is a covalent bond. Mechanical, how it feels. Now,
Can't feel too good if it's burning.
hold on before we go anywhere past this. And I want everybody to listen to me.
Can we go into that?
Should you ever feel what my chemicals feel like?
Absolutely.
For
No!
It depends what she does.
You should never put your greasy, stinking palms down in my chemicals. You contaminate my chemicals, I'm gonna yell at you twice. First time I yell at you is because you just touched chemicals and that's breaking 13 rules in a lab. Second reason, you just contaminated all of my chemicals.
What if you turn it up and take a drink out of it?
Baking soda, baking soda.
So you know, don't contaminate my chemicals.
It's not even, it's just bacon.
You should never put your fingers down in something and go, oh, this feels nice. You should not do that.
You should get a little spoon and put it on your hand.
What 13 rules did we break?
And the spoon will contaminate.
I don't have time in this lesson to go through it, Mikey.
Is it just like double
I
dipping?
don't think you can say it, so it's
So do not ever test number 5 of how it feels.
Mr.
You're
Hall.
the one.
Because you ain't allowed to touch it.
Then why we write it down?
Because it's a world. Like you can get an idea off of it, kind of, just not for all of them. Like for example, ionic bonds. Ionic bonds in terms of how it feels, mechanical. It is hard and brittle.
Mr. Hall.
You consider a cinder block of those two, though, for real, like.
Kalela.
ionic.
Would a cinder block burn?
Ionic.
Yeah, hot enough.
It's number 4 or
But if
number
you're sticking that bunch of burn, it's not gonna work.
number 4 or number 5 more important?
Ionic.
What?
It's number 4 or number 5 more important to not do.
Yeah.
Yeah, which one's more important? Not
4, 5, and 6 are all important.
Oh.
Well, your
Why would
odor
you
or
not do
smell.
that?
Which would be the most, like, important one not to do, though?
5. I'll yell at you. If you do 4, I'm definitely going to yell at you. But I won't yell at you once. If you do 5, I'm going to yell at you twice.
Alright, so
I really want to burn my hand now.
Ethan will see how the shower feels like this. He didn't get
Listen, that class just don't bring it up. Alright, 5. Mechanical. And I actually got in trouble whenever I was doing my clinical twos in college. Whenever I described the mechanical, how the feel of a covalent bond is. It literally got to the point that my clinical 2 teacher pulled me to the side and looked at me and said, Mr. Hall, we don't use that word to describe things. And it's also how you talk about the elements getting a full octet makes them happy. I don't want our students to walk out of here thinking that elements have feelings and emotions like living organisms. And in that moment, I thought one thing. If there was any kid in that room that ever walked in that thought that an element has emotions,
They
they don't belong,
They
they don't
are
belong in that
forbidden.
room. Like, no. When I look at you and I say that carbon is happy, it made more bonds. You should know that. I just want you to know that carbon wants to make more bonds. It doesn't actually make carbon
But
happy.
what did you tell her?
He has a big
I said,
smile
yes,
on his face.
Because if she didn't sign off on that, I didn't get my degree. So it was her class, she got what she wanted. But today, we get to talk about the word that I like to use. How the covalent bonds feel.
So like bird, baby bird?
Sad.
Soft.
Squishy.
Squishy! They feel squishy.
I didn't like that.
Squishy!
Mr. Hall.
I said this one year in, what's the, Dory, off of Finding Nemo.
At least you didn't put moist on there.
I miss
I'm sorry.
Alright, so, we go to number 6. I want everyone to listen to me.
We're listening.
Right now. I am going to stress something to you. Let's say, for example, you ever are in the lab and you need to smell a box of tissues. Now, going back to my last statement, if you ever think that I'm being legit about smelling a box of tissues, God help you, you don't belong in here. Okay, I'm talking if you're ever in the lab and you're needing to smell something. Now, that does not mean that every time you go to the lab now you need to smell stuff. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't be that person, okay? But in this, whenever you're looking at this, the proper technique, and I have been made fun of for 500 times for this, it is called the waft.
Oh, I know.
That's why I said it like that.
That's what you do in cooking.
Okay, the waft. Now, I will be completely honest with you. I've been made fun of multiple times because I have done so many labs and automatically when I go to smell something, I waft it.
Waffle. I really
So,
want people in my head.
It's literally so bad that my 10-year-old little sister Hadassah makes fun of me about it. Like, if I go home, like today when I go home, my beautiful wife, Mary, makes me this wonderful meal.
So you're going to walk in and go,
And sits it down, sits me at the table and sits this plate of food in front of me, I'm going to waft it.
oh, God.
It wouldn't have been weird.
And whenever I did that,
He walks through his house.
people have looked at me before and go,
That's us.
and it's now to the point Hadassah will look at me is whenever she's going to smell her food and she'll go and start laughing, and her laugh is hilarious. The proper technique for when you need to smell something in the lab, okay? And this right here, I'm going to personally tell you and be honest with you, This right here, your next lab that you'll be doing in 2 weeks, this is my favorite. And you're going to find out why on that day. I'm not telling anybody why until you get there.
When are we doing the challenge?
You sit here. You will pull your hand over the object of whatever you're trying to smell, and you will pull the air to you. I got my head bob going with it, and I smacked my glasses. Now, I want to make sure that this is important that you do this. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you do what happened to me and a kid at Huntington High did to me when I was doing my student teaching, I'm going to yell at you like I've never yelled at a kid before. Even whenever I heard how many electrons does carbon have? 80.
Why does stuff always happen at Huntington High that you tell stories about? You think it's that stupid?
No.
Yes.
It was just this one kid did this. The thing from Huntington High is it's had the one kid that just got under my skin.
The one kid.
Good school though. I mean, they got some smart kids. He took the object that he was supposed to smell. He looked at it intently with a desire of sniffing it. There's your English for the day. He took it, he went, that is the worst thing you could ever do, and there's 2 reasons as to why. Reason number 1, if you ever had a volatile solution that would make you pass out, and you went, you just, like, you're out cold. I don't even know what smelling sauce is.
Can we go home if that happens?
It's hard. Alright,
No,
reason number 2. If there is something that is going to wreck your capillaries within your nose and have a chemical reaction inside your nostrils, you are going to literally do that. You're going to have the worst nosebleed you ever had in your life. You're going to have to go to the ER, and they're probably going to have to cauterize your nose. I would not want hydrogen phosphate anywhere near my nose. I'd probably, if I was dealing with hydrogen phosphate, I'd be like,
That just kill you, wouldn't it?
I would be having some serious protective gear. So,
That's not a big problem. I'll just look.
please, whenever you're going to smell something in the lab, make sure and waft.
I got one now. I'm gonna
Or swaft.
I think I'm just going to pick it up with my hands and smell it.
I'm gonna make a complaint.
I'm so glad that's on
With
video.
the singing in the background.
So, please, 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 make sure and smell properly within the lab. We don't need anybody going to ER. I filled out enough accident reports this year already.
Okay.
Click it up there.
Just Maddie Red.
I'm throwing shade at somebody.
We all know who it
It
is.
was. She caught a flask as it was falling, like she dropped it, so she went and grabbed it as it was falling, and it hits the little lab table and busts in her hand. Wasn't bad. She's fine. Like, she was so fine that she wouldn't listen to what I was telling her to do. She just kept laughing, but I was like, you need to listen to me. Like, my frustration level was to the max right then, because I'm like, you're in the lab. There's something dangerous. You need to be listening. You need to be doing exactly as I say. If I tell you to do it, you do it. Why? Because it's my lab.
Okay.
All right, anyway, odor. Ionic bonds.
B-O. Stinky. Stinky.
Stank.
Stank.
Somebody else.
So bad.
They got no stank.
No stank.
No stank.
Oh, there's something fun in school. Like Cobain.
No stank. Now, covalent bonds.
It's stanky.
We got some stank.
A lot of people are covalent to number
Very
6.
stanky.
They smell.
They stank.
No,
Bad.
but since you brought that up, we're more like telling the rest of the
They smell so
story. They smell.
They stink.
Some good,
Oh.
They smell good.
some
Horrid.
horrible.
They smell what?
You can't fly.
I told her, I was like, she Cobain.
Oh. An all cap. Oh.
Some smell good, some smell horrible. How many of you in here right now are wearing deodorant?
Everybody should.
Nobody, but like 5 people raised their hand. Y'all stinky people.
Wait, what? I didn't hear
I
what
wasn't listening.
Who's writing?
All right.
Oh, I have deodorant on.
Thank God.
I think I do.
How many of you are wearing cologne or perfume right now? You're like, I'm gonna smell all good.
Me.
I'm gonna smell fly. That is a covalent bond. So
Brush your teeth.
So ammonia is a covalent bond.
it is. So whenever you walk by and somebody smells you, or you smell somebody, you're like, oh, they smell nice. That right there is one of those covalent bonds coming into your nostrils. And you're like, oh, that smells nice. Now, another example of a covalent bond that is not pleasant to your nostrils.
But Mr. Ross, doesn't people have different smells?
Yes, but another example of this happened to me in college. We were doing a lab where we were testing what would happen to substances if we burned them in 100% oxygen. So it took me and a lab partner, and this is how you had to do it. You had a jar of pure oxygen, and what would happen is they would tilt it back, and they would tilt it away from us, and we would put the whatever we were looking to examine how it would burn in 100% oxygen inside the glass. This little jerk, we had sulfur. I'm talking pure sulfur. I stuck that thing on a Bunsen burner. He had the jar ready. I said, all right, you ready? He's like, yeah. I was like, 3, 2, 1. He went, pulled it away from us like he's supposed to. I put the sulfur in there, and as soon as we see the sulfur light up, he turns it right at my face. Boom! Oh my sweet God, I'm still got stank up in there. Not really, but all jokes aside. Some smell good, some smell bad. Quiz tomorrow. You have questions, come ask. You guys can come during lunch as well.
You told us about that last year with the sharks. You told us last year about the sharks. Because somebody, that looks like